Hello, my name's Karina Thompson, and in this video I'm going to be introducing you to the projects in the hoop that are part of the mySewnet embroidery software system. So if you're not familiar with the idea of a project in the hoop, they are literally just that. They are a project, something that you make within the hoop under the sewing machine, and it's a great way to create something very quickly that could perhaps be a gift or a present, or maybe that you're looking to introduce a friend or a relative to the idea of digital embroidery. It's a great way to get started with doing digital embroidery projects. So to start off with, I am going to go back and I've got a blank hoop in here, and I am going to go to the Create tab, and over here you can see we have a project in the hoop button. So if I click on this, a dialog box opens up, and if I click on the pull down button, you can see these are all the different types of projects that there are. So there's things like book covers, coasters, key rings, pencil cases, phone covers, those kind of things. But I'm going to click on the Christmas ornaments, and then again there's a second pull down, and these are all the different types of Christmas decorations that you could go to. So for instance, if I was to click on the gingerbread man, there'll always be a little preview image to give you some kind of idea, but in actual fact I'm going to go down to the tree. Now there are always PDF instructions to show you how to create your project in the hoop, but in this instance I'm just going to click OK, and here is my project in my hoop. You can see that I've got a B here for the back and an F for the front. I have actually already downloaded the instructions, which are here, and you can see that they're quite simple, well laid out, nice clear graphics showing you how to basically lay up your fabric, sort of cutting out, joining, how you combine the back and the front, and in the case of the Christmas decorations there's a little bit of stuffing involved before you finish it off. So again, it's a really simple way to make something, and for instance it's a great activity if you're looking to do something perhaps with the grandkids. You want to introduce them to that idea of sewing. It's a really lovely way to do that. So what I'd like to do is actually just take some moments just to talk about some of the other things, the other projects in the hoop that are part of the software. So there's things like this little gecko. So yeah, it's possible to make soft toys. One of my personal favourites is this little purse that looks just like an old-fashioned tape cassette. So it's a purse. But there's also as well, we've got a project in the hoop that allows you to make a pencil case, and as you can see that basically both this and the purses have the zipper, and you set the zipper in as part of the project in the hoop. Great idea. And this is one of my favourites, and this is actually a passport cover, but as you can see on the film strip over here, if I click on this aspect here where it says name here and do a left click, I can do the option of edit lettering, and what I can then do in this section here where it says name here, I can put in my name, and I'm going to, in this case, because of how it's laid out, it works best if it's on 2 lines. If you wanted to, you could actually change your font, but I'm not going to worry about that. So if I click OK, and there it is. So this project is a really, I mean that it's a lovely item anyway, but here it is. You can see how quickly it is that I've actually personalized that. Now what I wanted to also just do is go back to, these are the key rings, so you can see there's a great variety, but again on the film strip over here. There's usually on most of the projects in the hoop, things like the cases and the key rings and the luggage tags, there will be a blank one that allows you to customize it yourself. So for instance, what you could do is I could go to the super design, and for instance I could choose this little dolphin, and I know that he's going to be a bit too big at 42mm, so I'm just bringing that down to 30mm, and if I pop him in there, you can see I've customized that. Now, just on a cautionary note, just to make you aware, if you're doing the embroidery, if you're customizing it, you're going to want that to do. I know that this satin stitch ring round that combines the back and the front together, so I'm actually going to want my embroidery to happen before that. So I'm just going to do a left click, and can you see I've dragged that up, so I know that that would then stitch out at a later stage. But for instance, if I wanted to, it might be that I say, well, actually I would like to customize it with some lettering, so I'm just going to delete out that my dolphin, and the same process here. I'm just going to drag that up, pop that in the center. So I've got an initial in there. So you can see how easy it is to customize these, and just like any other activity that you're doing in the software, you've got two choices. Then at this point it might be that I'm then going to use the mySewnet cloud account, or send it direct if you have a Wi-Fi enabled machine, or you can you go with the traditional way of exporting it onto a memory stick that I can then put into my sewing machine. And of course we've got all the main file formats for embroidery machines in there. Just going to just cancel that out. So I hope you found this a useful insight into the potential of the projects in the hoop that are part of the mySewnet embroidery system. Happy sewing!